Hi guys, it's Kelly and I am back again with another video. Today is the newest release from Simon Says Stamp, which is the Merry and Bright release, and so I'm using a couple of new products from them: the Pine Needles Border, Pine Needles Trio, the Merry and Bright stamp set, and I showed you the dies. I didn't end up using them, and then this Fa La La stamp set and die. So this is a little outside of my wheelhouse, you know. If you normally watch my videos, I'm pretty clean and simple. But I really loved these pine needles dies. So I was trying to figure out a way that I could kind of use them with my Copic coloring. So what I came up with was I picked out a couple of different distress inks. I used two different color combinations because I wasn't really sure which one I was going to like. Turns out I liked them both, so I made two cards. But I like to start with my lightest color, and that was the Evergreen Bough in for this one, and then Lucky Clover, and then Pine Needles. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have like set foam pads for each color. I just grab one that looks close. And so my error here, you can see this Pine Needles looks especially dark, is that I grabbed one that apparently had a little bit of black soot on it. So it ended up being fine. I did the secondary one, which was the Crushed Olive, Peeled Paint, and Forest Moss. And then just to add a little bit of extra interest and also feed my own obsession, I am going to do some flicks of water. So I started with the mister, with like just the, I don't even know what you call it, like the tubing that's in the mister, and then I ended up switching over to a paintbrush because you know what's coming next. Perfect pearls. Seriously, I just can't stop using them. So this is the Perfect Pearls in the color Perfect Pearl, and I use this for both of the cards, but I really kind of wish that on the yellow green one I would have used gold, because I think that would have been really pretty, especially with how the card ended up. But nonetheless, it's shiny, sparkly, and I was happy with the way that it looked. I'm going to set those aside to dry, and then I'm going to start doing some stamping. So in that Merry and Bright set, there is this little Christmas bulb, and I loved that little Christmas bulb so very much that I stamped it like 12 times. I think actually more than that. So I just filled up basically a whole sheet of cardstock. I know I didn't say I'm working on Nina 80-pound cardstock, and I stamped in intense black ink because it's Copic safe. And then we're going to get into the Copic coloring. So for the little metal pieces on the bulbs, I am just using a quick combination of some C's. So I added some shading, the darkest shading around the sides and where it's closest to the bulb. And then I used the mid-tone to just add a few little lines, and I'm going to blend everything out with the lightest color. I colored all of them exactly the same way. I will spare you all of that coloring. But then I started picking out ones that are like more traditional Christmas colors, and we're going to view this a couple of different times, because so I typically color as if my light source is in the top right hand corner. So that's how I'm doing the first one, the first shine. You'll see I left the edge white on the left hand side, and this is for some reflective light, but my main highlight is going to be over on the right hand side. For the middle of the bulb, I'm filling most of it in. I'm not taking it all the way to the edge of that highlight, but I am filling a lot of it in, because in order for there to be a highlight, there has to be a contrast. So some shadows. And so I'm putting those in, and I'm just kind of flicking up from the top and bottom with the darkest color, blending that out in the middle with the next darkest color, which is this R29. Then for the R35, I'm going to start filling in that white area on the left, and then take it in a little bit closer to the highlight on the right. The area on the left is going to get completely filled in with the lightest color, but I am going to leave just a smidge of white for a strong highlight point on the right hand side, so that it looks like it's actually shiny. I'm going to flip it, which I can't even tell you how difficult this was for me, guys, because you get, like, I just get in the mode of, you know, the highlights on the right hand side for everything. Makes coloring really easy because I use the same one every time. but I wanted to show you how you could do it maybe a couple of other ways. So for this one, I'm doing the highlight on the left. The other reason I did it, I chose to go ahead and give it a try, was because when you have Christmas lights on your tree, they're all facing the same direction. So the highlight isn't all going to be in the same area. And in order to make it just a little bit more realistic, I knew I was going to have to create some other highlight points. This bulb is going to be orange, but you'll notice my lightest color is a Y08, and that's just to give it some brightness. It does blend really nicely with those other YR colors. For this one, I'm going to do kind of like a 2-point highlight. So this one is different than the last two that we've done. And then I did a blue one as well, but I'm not going to show you that because here we are, we're looking at this for the third time. So for this one, I'm going to leave that large highlight on the right, but then I'm also going to leave one in the top left. This is, again, is if the light source is in the top right-hand corner. But the main shading is going to be kind of like diagonal through the middle. I picked, this is my own fault, I picked the yellow to do this one just because I was just going in order, you know, but I should have picked a better one to film to show you what it was going to look like. But anyway, so the darkest part is going to be in the center. We're still going to be adding the shading just kind of up from the bottom and down from the top where the bulb meets the little connector piece. And the same thing, we're just, the second time we go over it, we're going to start filling in that little area a little more, still leaving just a sliver of white. But then this is how you can, switch up that highlight point. So there's 2 instead of 1. So I'm going to show you the blue combination that I used. Sorry, I was drinking coffee while I was holding this, so it's a little off center. If you cannot leave a white area, or in this case, I made the error and I didn't leave enough space, you can go back in with a white gel pen and draw it in, and it will look totally fine. It will look exactly like all the other ones do. So then I wasn't planning on using green because I thought, oh, I have all this green with the trees, I'm not going to use green. But then the color started looking funny, and I was like, it's missing something, and it was missing green. So I went back in and did those. I'm going to outline all of my images. Originally, I was going to use the die cuts, but you can see the blue one on the right-hand side there, how I came down out of the lines. And that was ultimately what made the decision that I wasn't going to use the dies, that I was just going to cut them out. The way that the card came out, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I think that the white border in this case would have taken away from the look of the card. Once those are all cut out, fussy cut out, I do like to put Tombow Mono multi-glue, just a little dot on the back of it, so that when I'm kind of laying everything out, they will stay where I put them. This is the pine needle border. I wanted there to be a good amount of color on the top of my cards, so that the pine needles would have something to sit on and it wouldn't just be like really sparse white. So that's why I opted to use them together. I was really surprised. Now, I'm not a die cutter typically, but I was really surprised at how easy it was to get such a nice cut from those intricate dies. I just ran it through a couple times and they popped right out. You saw me use my Memento Tuxedo black marker to just go around the edges of those little light bulbs so that it's a nice finished edge. And then I'm going to start kind of putting them together. So there wasn't really any rhyme or reason. You can see the other one on the left-hand side, I kind of laid them out beforehand so I could get an idea for what I wanted. For the actual pine needle branches, I adhered the first 2 ignore my phone, please. Should have put that on vibrate and I didn't. So I adhere the first 2 flat, but then I was like, oh, I wonder if I could kind of like fluff them up a little bit, and turns out you totally can, and it's adorable. So I just kind of bent the needles up on some of them, and it gave a lot of really awesome texture. I did find that the other ones that I had glued flat, I really couldn't fluff up, so you really need to do it before you adhere it down. And then once I had those down, I wanted to add in my lights, just popped up. So I'm using some Scotch foam tape to do that, to just go ahead and pop them up so they would be up above the branches. And then, it would give the fluffed up ones a little bit of room to stay fluffed up versus just being, everything flat. So once I had all of those down, putting the last one on here now, I went ahead and did the other card. Again, it's the same thing, so I'm going to just move on to the sentiment. I opted to use the Fa La La die cut. This thing is gorgeous. I absolutely love this. I'm pretty sure it's Christina's handwriting, which is always beautiful, but I wanted it to be kind of popped up. So I am using the card stack trick where you cut multiples of them, glue them together, and then they're nice thick width. For the top of this card with the pine needles, I actually cut my piece from the silver glitter card stack that Simon released for Stamptember. So this one has the silver on it. The other one has the gold on it. And that's why I said I wish I would have used the gold perfect pearls. You can see that my sentiment kind of hangs off. It was no big deal. I just trimmed off the edges. I'm going to go in with some clear Wink of Stella and add that to all of my light bulbs because I love the shimmers and a shimmer sentiment is not enough. And apparently neither is Wink of Stella because then I went in and added some sequins. I had some leftover light bulbs, so I just wanted to show you if busy isn't your thing, you can totally go clean and simple with this and it's still gorgeous. And then that's it. That's all the cards, all the 3 cards. So this is part of a blog hop. There is a giveaway over on the blog. There will be a link below on YouTube. I hope that you will hop over and participate, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.